Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 Emergency Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Neil. Neil back in the house. What's going on, Neil?
Not much. Just happy that there's actual good Pirates news to talk about.
There is. Well, first off, there's news to talk about. That's something that usually Pirates fans lack this time of the year.
Yeah.
So not only is there news, but there's also good news. So again, as you can see here, Andrew McCutchen signs back with the Pittsburgh Pirates, a 1-year, $5 million deal, essentially the same deal he signed for the third year in a row. I think all of us could allude this was going to happen. However, it's official. It has happened. We bless you all with the news.
Yeah. Only took about a bunch of Twitter infighting to get the news out, but we finally have it. Kutch is here. Merry Christmas.
That's right. And I guess as Penn says, happy Kutchmas, everyone. I'm down for that.
Yeah. But no, it's always good to hear that McCutchen's back in black and gold, even though it was the most obvious thing that was going to happen this offseason.
Well, honestly, though, I don't know how you feel on this. And I know, as you mentioned, it's the most obvious. And yes, it should be obvious. But there was a little part of me that had some doubts in the back of my head. Just simply for the fact that you could talk yourself into like it's $5 million. And as we'll talk here, $5 million is not that much, but that could be $5 million more in Ben's wallet to use to spread out. So again, there was a part of me that felt like, what if they just didn't? So the fact that he is here, that seals everything. He is a Pittsburgh Pirate. We know that for sure now going forward. Yes, Penn, appreciate the super here. Merry Kutchmas to all. And
ever since, like we go through the Ben Sherrington era, Austin Hedges got $5 million from this team. Martin Perez got $8 million. Like, if this is the stuff like we're handing out to like the dregs of the league, I wasn't really worried that they didn't have $5 million stashed away for an actually useful team legend. So, no, this was set in stone unless he magically retired out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you what, before we go any further, let me tell you all, of course, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. So I guess obviously, we were entertained with the idea. Cody Duncan, and we did talk about it. We were live on NS9 Live last Thursday night when Cody did put out the tweet there. It didn't quite happen right then and there. Here we are now, Monday. It does happen. So again, we were entertained with the idea that maybe things were close. And again, today we wake up Monday morning and we see the Pirates Twitter account. He's back. So what are your thoughts initially?
Well, I was like, it's way cooler that the team announces that than like just getting like a John Heyman notification that it happened. I thought that was a small little thing that was really cool to do. And for a team that needs good hitting, Kutch is still a good hitter. He was still one of the better hitters on the team last year. And I think for the current market rate, $5 million for what Kutch has been providing is pretty darn good, So even if you take away the sentimental stuff, which is extremely important, and Kutch is probably like one of our favorite players of all time as a Pirate. Like, he means so much, and like it's so cool to see him still on the team for 3 more years. Like, it's still a good baseball move considering how little money he's taking. He could go get double somewhere else. If we're looking at the current market for hitting, just Kutch is taking such a hometown discount here.
I agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we've been all over this. You can make the argument, and I totally understand it, that like Kutch doesn't fit the need of the team. Kutch puts a clog into what could be done with that DH because, I mean, it's true. It's not as if he is the sentiment like DH where he's going to be a 30% above average hitter. Like, he's just a masher. Put him at DH, almost like a Jock Peterson type role. Like, he's not like a Jock Peterson. Like, you put him in there, he'll mash, let him go. He's above average. He's not the greatest hitter. He, of course, is aging. He's slowing down some, but he's still effective. But again, I guess what we're alluding to is the fact that like it's $5 million. You don't find that production for $5 million. So when you're a team as cash strapped as the Pittsburgh Pirates, and you're able to entertain the idea of getting not only like a hometown hero, more or less, he's beloved in Pittsburgh, you're going to make that money more, by signing him the $5 million. But again, like not even just like the business move. I think a lot of people like equate this to like, oh, well, they're just being cheap. They're going to get this fan favorite in and make money off of him. It's an above average hitter for $5 million.
Yeah, and I mean, in some effect, like you do have to bring fans to the park, and Kutch does that. But like, if he was hitting like, I don't know, Joshua Palacios last year, like then yeah, you don't bring him back for like any like then this move could be questioned. But like, I did a little bit of research here, just so bear with me. So like, just these are we were talking a lot about first baseman this offseason, clearly. Spencer Horwitz. But McCutchen 105 WRC plus last year, making $5 million this year. Christian Walker 119 WRC plus, he's making $20 million a year now in Houston. Goldschmidt 100 WRC plus, he got 12 and a half from the Yankees. I think that's the big comparison. We're talking about two aging guys. Kutch was a slightly better hitter, and he's getting like more than like maybe 40% of what Goldschmidt's getting. Naylor's going to make about 13 million, 118 WRC plus, and Lowe, who just went to the Nationals, 121, making about 11. Like, so all those guys are like better hitters except Goldschmidt. But when you're talking about like the, being creative, like that's about like, I think that's a better move than like Spencer Horwitz was. You're getting $5 million from a known commodity and is putting comparable numbers up to most of the big first basemen that went out and were signed this year.
Yeah.
So I think from a baseball move, it makes perfect sense.
And one thing to put, and this is like not to negate your argument, but also to, I guess, further enhance it, like those Naylor and Lowe contracts are arbitration. Like that's not the free market allowing them. You know what I mean? Like that's suppressed to some degree. They probably are getting more on the open market. So again, like to your point, the value there in that. And I want to add something else here. I mean, you're going and talking like first base. I want to add something here as also another position, but just talking about the free market where things are going for. Like Max Kepler signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Phillies. Last year, he was a 94 weighted runs created plus. Like the guy batted 253, 302, 380, had a 94 weighted runs created plus. His defense has been sliding. It's been deteriorating a bit. And that's where you can make the argument with Kutch. Well, okay, great. He's an above average hitter, but all those guys, Lowe, Goldschmidt, like they play defense. Kepler, they play defense. So there's value there. Again, like not dismissing Kepler, like he's a fine player, but his defense has diminished each and every year for the past few years. And really, again, like in the last 4 years, there's only been 1 year he's been an above average hitter. So that cost you $10 million. You're getting Kutch on $5 million, half of that.
Yeah.
So again, like to your point, that's a deal that allows you. So again, like the negative part of this is like this cogs the lineup. Well, the positive part is you're getting an asset that helps your team offensively and allows you more money to still help yourself offensively.
Yeah. What I would say is like, I feel like the savings in Kutch could have gone and gotten you a Nathaniel Lowe or a Josh Naylor, like a real impact bat that is like consistent and has been MLB proven. I think like those savings could have been there. And the big thing is that like in a market where I think another comparison is Carlos Santana, 38 years old. He got 1 million. So he got 1 year, 12 million. Yep. I think the Mariners offered him more money plus a player option. Like it is a good deal, but now you have to go and use the money that Kutch saved you and Horwitz saved you in these two moves and start really adding to this lineup because you still have holes at second, potentially maybe I know catcher's kind of taken, but maybe catcher, shortstop, and corner outfield. Like so, you need to take whatever savings you get here and now take that and move it into corner outfield and get some real impact bats in because that's what Kutch is doing. Kutch is taking a huge hometown discount on a team that doesn't spend money to help us win because he wants to be here. The least we can do is repay that favor.
And you're correct. And this isn't like Tom Brady-esque. It's not like you're saving millions and millions and millions and you have
Mhm.
like the best player in the world, but that is like the idea that he presents you. It's like, listen, I want to be in Pittsburgh. Let me stay in Pittsburgh. Let me help out the team as well. I won't take what my market says I should take. And I think we're
Mhm.
seeing here, like, yeah, like he probably could go for, I mean, a bare minimum $8 million, but probably like a $10 million deal. Like, you talk about Goldschmidt. I mean, again, he plays defense, so there's value in that. I think
Mhm.
also we can debate here. I think there's a chance Kutch could still play in the outfield,
Mhm.
potentially. I think last year he wanted to, and of course, injuries. We'll see what happens this year. There might be some playing
Mhm.
time here for him, but regardless, you're right. Like you're able to save money on that type of player, so now it allows you to allocate those savings into improving the team around him. Because there's one thing
Mhm.
as well. The whole idea. I mean, Kutch calling up Bob Nutting and saying, "I want to be on the team." 2 off seasons ago, 3 off seasons ago, whatever. Um,
Mhm.
he wants to play until he retires, basically. And Nutting more or less said, like, okay. I mean, no like
Mhm.
actual guarantee on it, but that seemed like that was the idea. And if there's one thing about Kutch coming back to Pittsburgh, is the fact that Kutch just coming back to Pittsburgh isn't enough. I mean, if he's back
Mhm.
here and you're at this part of this rebuild, you got to see him get into the playoffs. So not only do
Yeah.
you have Paul Skeens on this team where he has a very finite window
Mhm.
of this, with this organization, but it's like, but Kutch is also here. So like make this happen with those two guys on the same team together.
Yeah, I mean, all I could was going through my head today is just like 2 off seasons ago when he first came back. All those quotes I remember is like, "I didn't come here just for a swan song. I came here to win. I wanted to win and get to the playoffs again, like in with the Pirates before I retire." And so, like, obviously, like Ben Sherrington's not beholden to Kutch's demands, but like for his job security and for like Kutch does deserve another playoff appearance. Like he does deserve better than what he's gotten the last 2 years. I think like he deserves better than 276 win seasons. I think, and so he probably has 1 or 2 years left, maybe. Or this
Mhm.
might be his final year. Like you really have. I feel like he is definitely owed something by this organization for sure, and he deserves to see him come back, be rewarded. And I know it's just more of a sentimental thing than a baseball than like an actual like front office thing, but I don't care.
But again, like two things can be true. And I think this is this situation exactly. Like, yes, it is sentimental. Like Andrew McCutchen is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like
Mhm.
where would the Pittsburgh Pirates be? And they're not that far of anything, but like where would they even be today if it wasn't for Andrew McCutchen? But 13, 14, and 15, if he wasn't on this team playing the way he was playing, like where are those teams even? I'm sure they could probably sneak into the playoffs, but it's not the same. I mean, he helped turn this franchise completely around.
Yeah.
So yes, there is the sentimental part. There is the part where we traded you away and we really pissed off a lot of the fan base. It worked out. They got Brian Reynolds. I mean, there's one
Yeah.
things where it did work out for them, but like
Mhm.
now we have you back. There is a sentimental part. But again, this isn't just where I think a lot of people are alluding to just as sentimental. It isn't just
Mhm.
well, here's an aging player that can't play anymore, and they're just bringing him back to milk every dollar they can out of him. It's a guy who can still help you win, as he showed last year. Because again, he was the fourth best hitter on this team. Now, granted, this team was a bad hitting team, so it doesn't take too
Yeah.
much to be the fourth best, but still, like he gives you every reason to say, like, bring me back, because if you don't, and that's the argument, if you don't, then you're only retaining 3 hitters that were above average last year. So you got to fill
Mhm.
6 positions. And the team that has
Yeah.
a very finite amount of dollars to spend and allocate, finding 6 positions to upgrade is an absolute challenge. So if you're able to
Mhm.
do one of those for $5 million and then just focus on 5 with the rest, that's what signing Andrew McCutchen back does for you. So
Yeah.
yes,
And
it's sentimental that, hey, it's Andrew McCutchen. Here you go, Pittsburgh. But it's also like,
mhm.
this is an opportunity for this guy to help you out. He had 20 home runs last year, and the thing talked about, you want
Mhm.
to advance metrics, StatCast stuff. It was one of the better offensive seasons he's had since like 2017. I mean, he was
Yeah.
actually hitting the ball very well. There's actual value in his skill set right now.
No, and like like for consider you would expect from like a 38 player AO player and like the bat stuff to decline, and it has a little bit, but like you could see like the hard hit rates, the squaring up, the barrel rates, like all of those are up. Like what's really degrading is I think your point where like I don't think he can play the outfield. I mean, he's getting hurt just DHing. Like the last 2 years, he hasn't been healthy all year. I think it's right that they don't have him in the outfield. I think it's just an unnecessary risk. But no, like it is something that I would honestly prefer, though. Not trying to fill four holes because you can't do that. The Pirates are not going to be able to fill four holes, but like just bring in two bats that make a real significant impact on this team with these savings. Because if we're
Yeah.
going off of last year, and if we're going off, I think with Kutch, we're now at what, 77 million. If I think Stump said on NS9 that the payroll should be about $100 million. You got to use that extra 23 million or so to bring in two bats that can actually impact the team, and they don't even have to be like amazing stars to get the deal done. But it does have to be stuff that supplement McCutchen. Kutch cannot be the fourth best hitter again, like you said. He has to
Well,
be a
right.
supplemental option.
And like, here's the thing too. If he actually ends up being the eighth or ninth best hitter, that's probably a good thing because the other
That's it.
like positions did well, you know.
Yeah,
But
that's a
again,
fantastic
like
thing.
there's still value. Like you still need 9 guys for $5
Mhm.
million to have. If he's your ninth best hitter, eighth best hitter, but he's still hitting an average, that's good. That deepens your lineup, you know.
Mhm.
So again, like I don't really see. I can understand and hear out an argument of how he again like he clogs it up and you'd rather use a DH in another way, and you know I probably kind of support that argument as well. But you don't get too many opportunities to get a bat like Andrew McCutchen for $5 million. So you take it and then you work and build around that. You know, you construct the roster around that because he's gifting you his assets.
Yeah, and like especially with like the previous guys the Pirates have tried to sign in this range, Kutch is just such a clear cut above the other two, the three, the four, the 5 billion guys that they've tried to braid in and have it work. Um, and so yeah, like this is kind of a no brainer when you're a cash strapped team. And again, there's a sentimental part to it. I think Kutch kind of deserves a contract in Pittsburgh until he decides to retire. Like even if it's in the bench spot, I think he should be allowed to be on the team until he retires. And no, but again, the onus is now to improve upon this because arguably this is the biggest move that they have made all off season in terms of it lineup impact. It depends on how you feel about Spencer Horwitz, but that yeah, there needs to be more.
Yeah, I'll say this: like Horvitz probably has the higher ceiling, but Kutch is like I don't even want to say safer because like there's still a real decline that could happen with Kutch. Just based off of
Mhm.
last season, though, I'm not sure if we're really there. And that's another thing I want to point out. Like you mentioned, like when Kutch first signed, like when he came back to Pittsburgh, you talk about the swan dance, like swan song. Like I felt like that could be the last year.
Mhm.
We discussed and said how there's reasons to believe, especially with the lack of shift, right? Like we thought, like with Carlos Santana and Kutch, two guys that would really benefit from that. The Pirates sign. That's why I thought they're really sneaky good moves. Carlos Santana benefited, and Kutch did as well. You know, so like you thought that might be Kutch's last year. He's coming back. It's off one of his worst seasons he had in Milwaukee. You know what's going to
Mhm.
happen, and he came back and he bounced back in a big way. And it was like, okay, well, you know what? He had a good year, but he's still 37. Now he's coming back
Mhm.
again. Like, well, how's he going to be the next year? And again, like last year, what was funny is the actual results were worse than the year before. You know, so in
Mhm.
2023, he had a 114 weighted runs created plus, batting 256, 378, 397, right? He was 14% above average. But what was ironic was last year with his 105 weighted runs created plus, again, like you talked about, and I did a little bit here, his hard hit rate, the barrel rate, like he was actually deep down seeing and hitting the ball better. There was a lot of
Mhm.
bad luck in there. There were some home runs that like he kind of got robbed with and such, especially early on in April, which I was very open about
Mhm.
that. There were some times where he wasn't swinging the bat, which his 100% towel chase rate kind of alludes to. But like
Mhm.
all this skill was there. The speed fell off a little bit, right? But like
Mhm.
the bat speeds, it's not what it was, but it's still adequate. You know, like all this stuff is still there showing like, yeah, there's some
Mhm.
decline per se, but even at 38 years old, looks like he still has some in the tank. So every year probably is like you're alluding to here. Like every year should be treated as this could be Kutch's last year.
Mhm.
We'll find out. And maybe more reason that this year needs to be one of the years that we try to go into the playoffs and do something.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be interested in seeing because, like, the bat speed's not what it used to be, clearly. I'm interested to see how he works with Matt Hogg because Hogg, okay, is coming from the Blue Jays, who
Haig.
Higgs, whatever. It's the Hog. Anyway,
Listen, when I
but him
hear
at
a
Haig,
Neil pronunciation, trust me, I'm bad too. But
it's my defining characteristic. But Matt Haig, he worked with a team that wasn't big in power or bat speed or anything like that. He worked around guys. He even worked with like Horwitz is not a big bat speed guy either. And so I'd be interested to see how he works with him as opposed to Andy Haynes, who really seemed like bat speed or bust was like his entire deal. And so I'm not saying like it's going to be because I think he improved under Andy Haynes from say Milwaukee, but I'm intrigued. I think I like the bat Haig hire a lot, and so we'll see how it goes.
yeah, there's nothing in Horwitz's game that speaks speed. This is the
No,
slowest guy in like
no.
every facet of the game. So yeah, maybe you're cooking with something there. But also that is kind of interesting. And they were, in an organization together as well. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, again, I don't think the one thing about hitting coaches, again, we can argue how much they really matter, but also like I don't think it's going to matter who's there for Andrew McCutchen. Kind of like with Brian Reynolds as well. Like when you're just that talented of a hitter, probably
Mhm,
doesn't matter too much. You've been doing it for years. You're going to go out there and just do your thing. Maybe
mhm.
for the younger guys, it matters a little more. So with Andrew McCutchen, I'm not too worried either way. But at the end of the day, like we're talking about, the guy still has it. Definitely has it.
Yeah.
Again, the barrel
Mhm,
percentage, 81 percentile. Of all of MLB, I mean, this guy was seeing the ball, hitting it, squaring it up really well, getting some damage.
mhm,
And again, to talk about 20 home runs last year in somewhat of an injured season, not a full year. I mean, this guy did well at actually like the leadoff spot, which is something I've been
mhm,
advocating for him to be in. He has been in, but he also did it like at the cleanup spot too, and the
mhm.
power came in. So also, I'm not saying there's a lot of versatility out there for him, but it was nice seeing him do it two different ways last year.
Yeah, and for a team that is strapped for power, I mean, I don't think anyone in our infield at the moment right now, except Bart, is really looking to get over 15 home runs. I think is fair to say.
Hmm.
Like getting 20 home runs is more valuable to me if he's able to do that again next year for $5 million. Like that doesn't happen. Like that is not the current rate for uh 20 homer hitters. And I'd actually rather him do 105 WRC plus with 20 home runs than 114 again, just because like this team is in desperate need of power coming from anywhere because right now it's Cruz, it's Reynolds, Bart when he's healthy, and now Kutch. And I'm sorry, this infield right now is just not going to cut it. So no, this is a bargain. So no, very happy with this news.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, yeah, I don't know too much more to add to this. Again, Andrew McCutchen, officially a Pirate. We all pretty much knew it was happening. We all pretty much knew it was happening
Mhm,
for $5 million as well. So it's official. The benefits of it, like we talked about, it's $5 million. It's really nothing. You're getting a proven hitter. It's the one thing that you're seeing all these deals happen. There's a lot of debate, but part of it is because it's like, Horwitz presents the unknown. And these other guys, the
mhm,
other first basemen are proven. Kutch is proven, and he's definitely a
mhm,
leader. He has his own certain way of being a leader, but he's certainly a leader. And again, like it's a good business move. This is good for Bob Nutting
mhm.
in his wallet. But again, like if it's good for Bob Nutting his wallet, it should be good for the team as well. Because if you're going to make money on a player, that's a good thing because maybe that helps payroll.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like
Yeah.
Kutch isn't costing you $5 million. He's making you revenue. So like if you
Mhm,
have that cash cow, you do it because, and again, if it helps the team, it's even more reason to do it. I believe Kutch is able to do both. Um, screw all the haters. That's how I feel. I think like this is just a sentimental signing. He's here to help, and he can help. Now Ben has to
Yeah.
do the rest, build around.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, like you can be mad with how the Pirates have done the offseason, but like this is a good move. And I am not particularly thrilled with how the Pirates have handled this offseason so far. But like again, this is a no-brainer. We all love Kutch. He's not, and like if he was blocking someone, maybe I would understand this argument. But who on this team is he blocking? Like
I don't know.
someone saying like this might block Henry Davis or it might block like Jack Sawinski, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't care about that. I'd
You
much
know what's
rather have
blocking
Kutch
Henry
here.
Davis and Jack Sawinski? Henry
I
Davis
mean,
and Jack
terrible.
Sawinski. Like we just discussed, he was the 4th best hitter on this team last
Yeah.
year. He's not blocking anybody. Everyone else is just like those 2 guys you mentioned. They were pitiful last year. You cannot expect anything from them too. Now, if you do get some from them too, great. And unfortunately, like that's how this team's probably going to be good this year from internal improvements. So, like if Henry Davis is able to come back and be a good player, if Jaskowinski can find some form of his older self, right? But you don't go into the season with 5 positions of, well, hopefully they're good. Kutch was.
Yeah. No, it is a known. And again, like there's no reason to believe that like he's gonna fall off a cliff metrically wise either. So I know we've put on overs, but again, I think it's a good move, and I'm happy Kutch is back again. I get to watch him for another year, and that's meaningful to me.
Yes, it is. So no real milestones happening this year, doesn't look like. I mean, of course, last year it made sense. He has one away from 300 as well. So you're bringing him back for that. That happened. But yeah, like there's real no like big milestones. I think that's in the outlook for 2025 for him. But either way, again, him being back here, I anticipate you're probably going to see him like four games a week. So again, like he's not an everyday player, even at the DH spot. He'll probably have just 4, maybe 5 games a week that he's playing in, which still allows you some of that flexibility, right? When you want to get Reynolds maybe a day off, you want to get Cruz a day, like whatever it might be. Cruz probably less this year than last year, but you know, he will still allow the opportunity to give guys rest while still being in the lineup because he's not going to be an everyday guy, but he'll still get you 400-500 plate appearances. And again, hopefully like last year, like pretty solid ones.
And since Kutch is like a lefty matcher, Horwitz can't hit lefties, so like, and his defense isn't particularly good. So again, if you're trying to give Reynolds more first base action, you know, like you need you need Kutch to give the night off, then like just put Horwitz in against the righty. Like there are ways to work around this. And I don't know if this counts as a milestone, but he could hit, if he puts his same WAR as he did last year, he'll hit 50 career WAR. I don't know if that counts, but that does start putting him closer to Hall of Fame considerations.
Yep. We can have the old Andrew McCutchen, Dave Parker talks in a few years. All right. So that pretty much wraps it up, I think. Any last words you have to say or discuss?
No, just glad Kutch is back.
For sure. Well, for everyone watching, as always, we do appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow morning. I'm sure you guys were aware we were supposed to do Starbucks this morning. Ryan was sick, so we didn't go. We will be back tomorrow morning. We were going to discuss, of course, like the whole first base situation. Hey, this now allows Ryan and I to maybe talk a little more about Kutch as well. So come on, Starbucks tomorrow at 7 a.m. Then we'll be off Wednesday. Thursday, we'll be back with NS9 Live. And then Friday, The Point. We'll see you guys later. We appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.